Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, okay.
My eye, huh?
Yes. Okay, so you had surgery on your eye. So yeah, you got a freaky looking eye for
It
sure.
is pretty freaky. I wear glasses that way. Everybody's asking, "Hey, what happened to your eye? What happened to your eye?" And I
Yeah.
just wear the shades and don't.
Nobody
No,
has said
nobody
anything.
has said anything. They said I look like a gangster.
With your glasses?
Yeah,
Oh.
You ever pull them down and give them a jump scare? Just, oh.
I
He
should.
goes like, puts it down. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay, so just wanted to say like, where you been working this week? What's your?
I was at the Passenger with Ernie on Saturday, and then
How was that?
it was great.
Yeah.
Great.
You like being at the Passenger, don't
I
you?
love the Passenger. I love to communicate with the people, talk to the people, and you know, and I know all the porters, so I always tell them, "Hey, this is my favorite, Marina. This is my favorite. She's my daughter. All of the girls are my daughters, and all of them are my sons." And you just get a
So
good
you say like
rapport.
take care of them?
Yeah, take care of them, and they'll get you by. They'll help you and everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that job. I love the communication with the people and stuff. It's a lot different than working containers or rails and everything. It's more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, you're definitely like a social person.
Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know, like that so many people die on the on the cruises.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, they took one off on Tuesday when she went to Cabo. They had somebody come off.
Oh, that's
And what's crazy is like on Super Bowl Sunday, the Super Bowl cruise, when they come back, without fail, there's 3 or 4 guys or girls that are getting arrested. They're handcuffed and they're taking them off the ship.
really?
Yeah, but it could have been a prior incident where some of them have warrants and they run makes with their passports and everything, and they apprehend them there on the ship and bring them off.
Oh,
Yeah,
dang.
so it happens regularly.
Frequently.
Yes.
Yeah. I was surprised to learn that when I was a porter that it happened. Yeah, that even just death happens frequently. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
wild.
There's
People
some-
get too crazy on there.
Yeah, there's some ships that go out there with a lot of elderly people, and without fail, one of them's not going to come back.
I mean, it's not funny.
No,
but-
it's not funny, but
I mean, it happens. That's,
It
that's
hap-
like, hey, they died doing what they wanted to do. They were on that cruise,
Yes.
enjoying their booze package and their gambling.
Yes.
They were living their best life when they went down.
right,
Yeah.
right. And then you tell them, and look, I don't know why the people want to wait in line so long where they can get a porter, and the service is free. The service is absolutely free. If you want to tip them, it's up to you. And a lot of people say, well, I lost my money. I don't have any money. I lost the casino and everything like that. I go, no, that's not a problem. We can still get you somebody. If you have Venmo or Zelle, that works too. Oh, that works? Yeah. So I get a porter that has the Venmo and Zelle app, and here we go.
Oh, you're a good boss. Because, I'm sure that the porters really appreciate that. Otherwise, it's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Not all the porters have Zelle or Venmo, but the majority do. And I know which ones have it, so I just point them to that direction. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember when I was portering in San Pedro, what side is it? I don't know. But it was a cruise that went for like 30 days, like a
Oh, yeah.
long one.
Yeah.
So the luggage was super heavy. This was like how I had like my stint of portering for a while?
Yes.
This was like where I was like, I'm done. Because the luggage was so heavy, and because it was like their first day, they were like so stingy to give me even $5. So I'm like lifting this heavy luggage for $5. After that, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. You got to get on a porter job where it's a 3-day or 4-day. They don't, they travel light.
Mm-hmm.
That's better. But when they go on that, 2-week cruise to Hawaii and back, they pack up pretty good.
Yeah, they
it's-
do.
Yeah, so you got to go on the short cruises and stuff like that. And I've noticed that they tell me that the porters, the ships that come in San Pedro, they get more money than the ones in Long Beach. But I never really,
Know the difference.
No.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I portered both, and I feel like it was about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was about the same. Well, Long Beach has their system over there, so there's
yeah.
some people that porters are making a little bit more over there off the bat, I feel. So
Well, that's true. Ernie's got his guys that come there all the time.
yeah,
And
that's understandable.
Yeah, and he puts the people right where he needs them, where they're, he's going to get, the best out of them. And he does have his guys that are there. But everybody that goes there, they know that Ernie runs a tight ship.
Oh, yeah.
Ernie's sharp. He knows what to do, and I like to go there. There's more organization. San Pedro, they have all the bosses are from the hall. They're hall bosses. They have no steadies there, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's chaotic.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that, so, I usually go to ITS.
Yeah.
But this week I haven't, actually for the past 2 weeks, because the job count has been low. So I've had to go to other places. And I think it's because of the Chinese New Year, I assume, right?
Yeah, usually around this time is Chinese New Year. It slows down.
How much longer? I want to go back.
I'd say it probably lasts another 2-3 weeks, and then it's going to go back. NYK was dark for 8 days.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
That's
they were
a
dark
lot.
for 8 days. And Yangming, where I'm going, they were dark yesterday, and they're going to be dark on Monday. So, Chinese New Year, that happens all the time.
Oh, okay.
But you don't want to happen. You better hope it's Chinese New Year's, because when I got in 1982, everybody said, "Oh, you're a longshoreman. You can make all kinds of money, this and that." Well, 1982, I got in January. In February, the whole month of February, I worked 3 days, and I was there day and night, day and night, day and night. Did not get out. And I don't know if it was a Chinese New Year. I don't know what happened, but a lot of guys quit longshoring because of that.
Really? And
Yeah.
so there was no pay guarantee at that time?
Yes, there was.
Oh,
There was a PGP, pay guarantee plan, but by the time you get it, it's sort of, you got to wait all that time.
Did you make any big purchases? Because I feel like when people, when they come when you get elevated, right? Then people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy a new truck. I'm gonna buy all this stuff," and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh shoot, it's slowing down," and then you're then
No.
you're super stressed. No, you didn't.
No, because I was sort of, I didn't know how the big money was, because I was a teacher, and we get paid once a month. Once a month, and my first paycheck was $888. So I wasn't going to go out and get in debt, but I'm glad you brought that point up, because a lot of guys that quit, they bought houses, they bought cars. I'm a longshoreman. No, it didn't work out that way. So I advise everybody that gets in, just wait till you get your feet on the ground, and make sure you know what you want to do, and take maybe 1 or 2 years, then start making them purchases, but not off the bat.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I agree. You got to see that there's somewhat of a pattern like the Chinese New Year, but also in a lot of ways that it's very unpredictable, depending on what happens with the governments around the world, it's so unpredictable.
Right now, it's with the tariffs and all this, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. It's gonna be trying times for the next month or two, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why you can't make those. Just have your savings, make your money, have your savings.
Exactly. I tell everybody, start saving your money. Don't make any purchases. If you can double back. Save that money. But we're gonna be in little trying times right now.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting to talk about as we go on.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because I also feel like we experience it firsthand, or I don't when the port slows down, maybe we experience it right then and there, and then it trickles on when people can't get their toilet paper in the at the grocery stores, or when when the goods, they're
Right.
like, "Oh shoot, I don't have whatever it is."
You're right. We're the first to feel that stuff coming in, because it's slow right now. So the consumer and everything, they're going to feel it pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. I worked a couple weeks ago. I was thinking about being a casual, my time as a casual, because I was working at ITS driving when it was raining, and I was on a finish. And of course, all the regulars, they reaped out. So it was all casuals under the hook, raining till 5 a.m. And I was like, oh my gosh. I wanted to tell them hey, it gets better. Don't worry. I feel like that's one of the worst jobs to have.
Oh yeah.
That'll test you. Are you here for good, or
For sure.
I'm sure people quit that night. I'm done.
Usually with the rain and inclement weather like that, it's all the regulars reap out. With at NYK, that day that it rained and stuff, the top handlers, they were hanging. There was we were missing top handlers.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember a time in the past where what was your worst, or a job where you were like, F this, I'm about to be done?
Well, when I first became a foreman, they gave me a job I was the lashing boss at Maersk. And I believe it was after Christmas or after New Year's, one of those days. I had 26 lashers, 26 casuals. We never finished. We never finished. We had like 4 cranes. We put everybody up in the bays that they were going to get started. They barely finished that.
Oh.
It was bad. And there was some people that were there that were, let's say that they needed a workout that they couldn't. It was bad for them.
They had no business being up there.
They had no business even being up there.
So what is that for you, like as the foreman? Like, do you get like is management on you or
No,
what is
no,
that?
management knows. When they see all the casuals, they know. So what they did here in this situation, they worked all of them up till 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And whatever we did, that was it. And then they hired another set of lashers at 1 o'clock. And the guys that came in at 1 o'clock were all A-men.
Oh,
They came in A-men, so they knocked everything out. But that was the worst. Mm-hmm. That was the worst. It was horrible. Oh. It was bad.
Well, I will say too, like being when I was a casual, and even now, like I've been on jobs where it's multiple casuals, and they don't know. You don't really get instruction of like the A and the B and what across. It's just like they'll show you on a piece of paper like what it looks like, but then when you're up there, you're like, okay, this goes here. Like it's
right.
It's daunting.
Oh,
You have to have somebody experienced there. That's crazy.
Yeah, even as you're casual, when you go to that lashing class, mm-hmm. It's not really a realistic situation because it's real easy, right? Mm-hmm. Real easy. And when you're on the ship, you got to lean over. Sometimes they're farther away or in the 45s, or if you're small and you're in the end cap, it's hard to get up there. There's a lot of variables in there. You're right. It's an eye-waking experience for them casuals.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny that sometimes they don't even know, that you get there and stay, you're giving breaks out. Okay, your break's 8 to 10 or whatever it is, and like this. So I went up there, and I told the casual, I was talking to them, and I said, okay, the break's 11:15, 4:15. Well, everybody knows it's 11:15 to 1, 4:15 go. Brand new casual. He went from 11:15 to 4:15.
He's all cool.
Yeah, he got me. I couldn't do anything because, now when I stress 11:15 to 1, 4:15 go home. But it was funny. Everybody gets a kick out of that. They say they want that break.
Yeah.
It was a one-time only break. Yeah, but sometimes the foreman or whoever talking to the casuals, they should be more, try to take a little bit more time and explain it to them, because it is. If it's your first or second time down there, you're wide-eyed open. You're looking around. Things are happening so fast.
Yep. Yeah, and it's just like get out there. Yeah, I do agree that there's an opportunity there for the foremen to even instruct, because that's somebody's first time, and if you drove a UTR in your test in a little yard and you parked, but you were not against a ship. You didn't have to go through top handlers, honking, back and forth in a row, multiple transes. Like, it's very different.
Well, it's different. When somebody comes in as a COD, child deceased, they give them a mentor. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. They give them a mentor, and they go with them to the different jobs. Well, if I get a casual there that's one or first times, I always hook them up with somebody that knows exactly what to do, because I can't be at all places at one time. So I would, say, Marina, would, you help them out, show them what to do, and, line them up. So a lot of times they help out.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go about it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think some people just take it upon themselves, like in the safety speech, if they say who's new and someone raises their hand, I feel like a lot of people will watch out for that one person, so... Because we know, and also it's dangerous. Like, if that person isn't taking wide enough turns in the yard or whatever, it's dangerous for everybody. Oh, yeah. So it's in everybody's best interest to really make sure that person has the most knowledge that they need for that job.
Yeah, you tell them, the most important thing: make sure you have your helmet on, make sure you have your vest, all your PPEs on, make wide turns, and stop at all stop signs, and definitely. Do not use your cell phone while you're driving.
Yeah.
Do not use the cell phone. Just keep it off and stuff like that.
I think wide turns has got to be like people clipping cans. That's got to be like the top of incidents.
It's funny you're saying that because when Ed got his first job, it was at Maersk. So I'm there. I go with him and everything, and I see him get the can. He's going down. He makes a turn. Well, he don't come back right away. Go, what happened? I wonder what happened. I went over there. He ran over a K-rail.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Easy. A lot of times them K-rails, they get bumped, so
Yeah.
they're not in the exact same spot, and you can easily, hit one
I thought you were going to say he clipped a container. So I'm glad it wasn't that. I'm glad it was just a K-rail.
K-rail.
So mine was even crazier because I was in the bump cart corral, so it's surrounded by K-rails, right? Well, I just like pulled out and turned, so my bomb cart was like balanced over the K-rail.
Just like Ed's.
Is that what happened to Ed?
Yes.
Holy smokes. Yeah, so somebody thankfully came and like helped me and took it off, but I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to get the heavy lift to go up there luckily it was empty. So, we got to pick him up and move him out of the way.
Oh, he had a can?
Yeah, he had a can.
Oh.
But it was an empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it happened. I guess it happens.
It happens.
I mean, but imagine people panicking. Like, we're lucky because we know, like, I feel like I would just be like, Dad, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
call. But there's people that
They don't know what to do.
they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes you get them, and it's I've gone to the place where they had the accident, and they're literally crying
Oh.
and shaking.
yeah, I can
And I
see
go,
that.
just relax. The main thing down there, are you hurt? They say no. Then everything else can be fixed. It's
Yeah.
no problem. As long as you're okay, we're fine.
I think that's a reassuring attitude for people. Like, yeah, having just that demeanor instead of, what did you do wrong? Blah, blah, blah. Like, just, hey, it's cool. You're
Well, they're-
safe. You're good. Okay,
Yeah.
we're good. We can figure this out.
We'll figure it out. As a matter of fact, in my safety speech all the time, I say, look, if you get in an accident or anything, this is the channel I'll be on. Get a hold of me, and just be calm and say, hey, Coach, can you come over here to Baker 100? Can I see you over here? But if you go over there and you're screaming or you're hysterical, and everybody's listening on that channel, you're going to have all eyes going over there. So just be nice and calm.
I did hear that. That's good advice to just not say what's going on. Just say, hey, boss.
Yeah.
I'm at this location. Can you meet me here?
Yeah, can you meet me
That's
here?
the best way to reach out to somebody that needs help.
Yeah.
If you need help, that's the best way to do it.
Right. You don't say, hey, I just hit somebody or something like that. No. Don't say that. Just say, can you meet me over here? And there's not a problem that can't be solved. Everything can be solved.
Okay, so each episode I want to talk about like just some history of the port. Because I just have so many questions, but I'll just narrow it down, do little bite-sized history lessons, I guess. So, one thing, so you said earlier I asked you why we're called longshoremen. You said you didn't know. Is that?
Right, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So it says, this is from historylink.org. It says, the term came from the hiring bosses who stood on the docks and yelled out, men along the shore, as they scrambled to hire workers to load or unload cargo. So just someone screaming that out on the docks back in the day.
Right, there was no unions or everything. So at that time, they hired whoever they wanted. If you watch the movie The Cinderella Man, isn't that with Russell Crowe? Mm-hmm. Okay, he's a longshoreman in that movie. And one of the superintendents or one of the bosses there picked him out. But they would just handpick guys out, whoever they wanted.
Well, this also says, it says, in the 1880s, working on the piers meant long hours, dangerous conditions, corrupt hiring bosses, and poverty-level wages. Labor bosses often chose family members or the brawniest workers over those more experienced. In an inequitable and humiliating practice, an inequitable and humiliating practice was known as the daily shape-up, where workers had to ask for employment each morning and jockey against each other for a job for the day.
I heard that. That's true.
Yeah.
That's all true.
Do you know, did you know
No.
longshoremen that?
No.
Well, this was like in the 1800s or like 1880s, it's saying.
Right. But I went to Texas with Fernie on the baseball, and I stopped at one of their dispatch halls, and I asked the guy, "Hey, how do you guys dispatch?" He goes, "It goes by seniority." I go, "Well, a guy comes up, say he's going to be the ship boss, so they give him a clipboard, and he has X amount of men that he can put on his payroll. Well, we go through an hour system, low man out. Right there, they don't in Texas. The guy picks out whoever he wants, but he's got to go by years. Say a guy has 30 years, guy 25, 20, on down the line. So he goes down there and picks them out. So if a guy only has 5 years experience down there, he's never going to see a job. So they do handpick their guys over there.
Oh,
in
interesting.
Texas, I think it was Galveston. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's still a form that goes out there, but I think we have the greatest.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. It seems the fairest, the most fair.
Yeah, low man out, he gets out.
And even this is one of the questions I have that I'll get to later on. But just the development of the boards, like you're on the dock board, you're on the casual board, you're on the BUTR board, like even just those subgroups. I'm curious. It's a system that works well and that's fair, but
Right.
it had to be developed over time, I
Yeah.
assume.
Some people try to, work around it. They're not really hurt, because I've seen a situation where the person's been on the casual board, and all of a sudden, a promotion comes up for a better job, which is going to require more physical work, and it's a miraculous recovery.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle on Dean Martin Street.
But then you get the side eyes from other people though, right? So you're also, I feel like there's some of that too, like peer justice or peer, I don't even know, there must be a term for it, but people know what's up, and you know
what they used to call the casual board? The sick, lame, and lazy board. Yeah. Years ago when I first came in, sick, lame, and lazy. Man, but it is what it is. That's our system. That's the only thing. But they go by hours there.
Yeah.
And then I like the seniority when I first got in to be on the night dock board. You had to have 25 years before you could even take a look at that board. I don't know what they've lowered the standards. They're lowered the years. I don't know what it is now, but it's good to have the different casual boards. Casual board. There used to be a swamper board for guys over 60. I think that's.
There's still a swamper
Is
board.
there still a swamper?
There is, but I don't know
There's probably not too many guys on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I never got on that board, so I was on the whole board, and then I became a clerk, and then a longshoreman. But I never went on any other board. Well, I was on a supplemental crane when I drove a crane. I went to the crane board, but I never went to the casual board or those other boards, dock board. It was just a longshoreman or a crane operator.
I'm on the, I guess, UTR board. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I could get right now. So for the next.
Right.
I'm in my this month will be my third year as an ID.
5
It
years.
did go by fast.
Goes by so
So far,
fast.
that third year went by fast. And yeah, I still feel like I'm getting now into more of a routine, even in a way that, so, I used to just work 4 days, do the minimum. Now I'm like, okay, when the kids are in school, I'm going to work 6 days. And then in the summer, I'm going to work 4. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to play out the year.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning.
Yeah. Time goes by so fast. You 3 years already. Mm-hmm. So I've been down there 43 years, and I can still remember the first job I got, and I can remember the boss's name and everything. It happened, and it was raining that day when I got the job.
Oh my!
I remember it just like if it happened yesterday.
I got a crappy job I picked a crappy one, and I was like, why did I get this job?
Yeah.
My first ID job, but that's all right.
That's good.
So so I'm just going to read a little bit more from the history link, just because it sets up where you can see why we unionized, because it says, additionally, employers could speed up the work site by employing fewer workers, making the remaining employees work harder. They also were able to retaliate against non-compliant workers through a company union that kept track of workers with an employee blue book. Have you ever heard of that? No, yeah. So it seems like whoever was employing them was keeping track of people who weren't doing their job. And
I'm sure.
So I just by reading that part, you can see the makings of a union because it was not fair and people were taken advantage of at first.
Right. I think that's why Harry Bridges came over and started our union. 1934, something like that. He started the union.
He started the union?
Yes, Harry Bridges is a starter of our union.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I want to get into that. See, there's so much. That's why I like this little history segment that we're going to do because there's so much.
We have a guy that used to be the welfare officer, Bruce Krieger. If I can get Bruce Krieger to join us, he's got so much knowledge on all this stuff. He's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. He was in office when I got there, and he met Harry Bridges. Harry Bridges was sitting in his office and the whole thing. When I got in, Harry Bridges he had just left office, and they hired another guy named Jimmy Herman became the president of the union. Mm-hmm. So Harry was around when I was around, but I wish I would have met Harry Bridges. That would have been great.
I know I could see that for you. I wish you would have too.
Yeah, that would have been great.
You would have been like a little kid.
Oh yeah, I want your autograph.
Okay, so in my research I found some names that are other names for longshoremen and one that's not. So try to figure out the one that's not.
Okay.
So it says a dock worker's also called a longshoreman. So here are your choices: stevedore, docker, lumper, wharfie, pumper. What's another name? Stevedore, a docker, a lumper, a wharfie, or a pumper. Which one of those is not another name?
Which is
not another name for a longshoreman. All those are.
All those are. I would say the lumper.
That's what I thought too. No, a lumper is another name for a longshoreman. I'll have to I meant to research it to find out why.
So which one is it?
Pumper. I added that one.
Oh, okay.
Because that's.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess that's kind of because that is a name that we would call.
Yeah.
Shoot, I messed up that game.
Yeah.
But do you like? Do you know? Because then I was thinking that. Do you know a lot of a pumper? Do you know a lot of pumpers?
Guys at work?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of the guys that is probably at the top of the list is Johnny DeLeva.
Yeah?
Oh, Johnny DeLeva could do anything down there.
What do you mean?
He could drive crane. He could do mobile cranes. He could do everything. He could build a house out there for you. Johnny DeLeva is the ultimate pumping guy. He's way up there in my book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a big compliment to him.
Maybe we'll have Johnny come on.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. A fun episode.
Johnny DeLeva. Yep.
Last time I worked with him, he was my boss at my auto boss. This was the last time I worked with him.
Yeah.
Cool guy. I always love seeing him.
Love Johnny.
Mm-hmm. Cool guy. Yeah. So lumper was a term for longshoreman. I don't know why that was, but yeah. But I just learned that stevedore helps manage I guess so it would be like a foreman, helps manage.
Yeah, stevedore. Yeah, when you're a stevedore, you're a dock worker. I knew that one.
So what do you mean? So anybody that's like a swing.
They say okay, now you're stevedoring. Now you're doing longshore work. That's usually what they say. Okay, now you're stevedoring.
Okay.
Now you get it. Now you get it.
That makes sense because I worked at the terminal that's next to NYK, and it was like a little small, those little small yards. I like working there, because I feel like this is real longshore work.
Yeah.
I think I was. I was working with the winch in the hold. Mm-hmm. And then we had spools in there, I think. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. And then we used the chains to hook them up to the winch. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when Uncle Bobby and I were in a gang. That's gang work. It's so much fun down there. You could do all kinds of stuff. Take out pipe. When I first got in, we would do cotton. There was cotton jobs. That's when you use a hook. There was rubber jobs. They had bales of rubber. What they would do is they'd bring down a net, and then you would get the rubber from the wings and pile in the net. Then the winch would take it out. Great job.
Cool. Yeah. I liked being in there. I could see how it's very dangerous because that hold is not very big.
Oh.
And so things can become loose. Like it's everybody's got to be on their game until you get your routine, and then you can kind of loosen up. But when I went there, this is not my job. So I'm like, oh my gosh, just
Yeah.
watching your back.
Yeah, you got to make sure that winch driver takes the load all the way up and be able to clear the coaming, the top, clear the coaming and go across. It's a dangerous job. It's a
Because-
dangerous job. It's dangerous job to the fact that Bobby, my brother, and I were working in the hole, and we were cutting cables, and I cut one end, and then he cut the other end. So I went over there. He was around the back of a coil. So I knew I cut the wire, so I'm pulling on it, and it's not coming. So I yanked it as hard as I could while Bobby was standing on top of the wire. He tumbled and everything, broke his leg.
What?
Yeah, broke his leg. So I felt so bad. He broke his leg. He broke his femur.
No.
Uncle Bobby broke his femur, and because I knew I cut the wire, but I didn't see him around the coils.
Yeah.
So I jerked on it,
Yeah.
and it took him right over. Broke his leg.
Oh.
Yeah. So you got to make sure when you're down that hatch, you got to make sure everything's clean at all times because you've got the forklifts driving there, and you got dunnage. It flies like missiles all over the place. You got to make sure your area is clean. Most important when you're in the hole. Got to
Yeah.
make sure it's clean.
And communication too, I feel like is like you always have to know where your guy. Like that's just a point of like.
Oh yeah. Well,
Communicating.
now you have radios and everything. But
Yeah.
when I got in, there was no radios. It was all you just made signs and what you needed. You needed water, or you needed a canary. A canary it's a long wire
Oh, yeah.
with the hook. Okay, so you would just look at the winch driver and like wings. You'd flap like wings, and they know that's a canary. And then you do this with your mouth.
Point at your teeth?
Yeah, point your teeth. You need plates. You need plates down there. Yeah. So I mean, and then there was another thing for a trash box. So, I'd rather not go there.
Yeah, the hesitation. Let's not go
Yeah,
there.
let's
If
not
you're
go there.
hesitating, let's not
Yeah,
go there.
let's not go there.
But that's interesting. I didn't even really consider that there were no radios, so
No
everything
radios.
was.
Yeah. Yeah, you just tell
Hand
me you need
signals.
water. Or,
Interesting.
And there's a lot of noise down there.
Yeah.
You can't scream at the guy. So it was all hand signals. It was great, all the hand signals.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe next time we'll do a game. You do some hand signals, and
Yeah.
maybe when we have like an older longshoreman, see if they know,
Yeah.
remember those signals because
Oh, yeah.
there's not
No, not that.
they're not that many anymore
No,
at all.
No.
We do a go to lunch. we
Yeah.
know go
Yeah,
to lunch.
Go to lunch. And then the signals that you have obviously are the ones that when you're the trans, come down, come up, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those signals there because you don't want to be. The less you talk, the better off it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the signals on there still apply, but down the hole, you gotta communicate. 'Cause
Yeah.
somebody can get hurt, like Bobby got hurt.
Was he so pissed at you?
Yeah. But he climbed out of the hatch. Usually you
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Usually you're taken out in a Stokes basket. They put you in and they take you out.
Yeah.
But he climbed out. Yeah.
Stop.
The broken leg, he climbed out.
That's pretty badass.
Oh yeah.
What?
He climbed out.
Was his bone sticking out?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't a compound fracture, but he broke it.
And he climbed out.
Climbed out.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah. But you got to be careful down there because one of my very, very good friends, Joe Garcia, was volunteering, and he went in the hatch, and unfortunately he got his leg cut off.
He did.
Yeah, I think a pipe rolled on him and stuff. Yeah, bad.
I
You
think
can't you can't take your eyes off the. When we first got in, there was a guy named Mike Malgoza, good friend of mine. The last load of the day, they were discharging giant tires at Long Beach 204, and he was volunteering. He was a crane operator, but he was volunteering, so he was there. Last load, he unhooked it, and then he turned around. While it got hooked up, the tire fell on him. Yeah,
it crushed him.
yeah,
He died.
yes,
No.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So it's something else. It's dangerous down
It's
there.
dangerous.
It's
Yeah.
dangerous. We have like 3 cousins that have gotten killed down there.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah.
Well, I think it's less like the the good thing is that there's less deaths. I feel like maybe it's gotten a little, not less injuries, but maybe less deaths. Am I wrong?
Yeah. I think work then was dangerous because it's all hand stuff.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. Now it's all containers. The majority is containers.
Yeah, I read, and this like blew my mind. In the 1960s is around the time that they did the containerization, and it went down to 10% of the longshore. There were only 10% longshoremen after that because of the containerization. Like that kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
How much the workforce was depleted because of that.
Oh yeah.
And then now, just in present time, having the automation come and, not having UTRs, like that 10% is coming down to 1%.
Oh, it's coming down. Yeah, you gotta be careful and stuff like that. It's, we gotta keep them jobs. The mechanics, they got a pretty secure job. So, but as longshoremen, the young people like yourself, you got to try to get a little piece of that action with the mechanics and stuff. Because I think they get paid more money than we do now.
I'm pretty sure that they do.
I think they do. I'm not sure on that, but we gotta be able to secure our jobs.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Yeah. They do have like trainings and stuff. Okay, so I joined, I did go to like a meeting about like if you were interested in becoming a mechanic. So there was a meeting at the, what is that called?
The brick building?
Yeah.
Memorial Hall.
At the Memorial Hall, thank you. There was a meeting there, but it seemed like they still didn't have like a good grasp on that they have they're trying to lay down a foundation to get people ready to become mechanics. That there is something in the works, but it still feels like it's not where it should be.
Right.
Like the automation's coming a lot faster than we are preparing for that automation in that realm.
I believe that. Yeah.
So
we can't lose that. We got to keep all that.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, Dad. So you're gonna give me some. So longshoremen have like just different names.
We call them handles or different names. Okay. What? Give you like 4 names, and which one's not okay? Here we go. Smokin' Joe, Toyota Joe, Hooks, Liquid, and Pumper.
Okay, so which of those is not which is not an actual person?
Right.
Liquid. There cannot be there's a liquid?
There's a liquid. There's a liquid. Why do you think they call him Liquid?
He pees a lot.
No, he's a drunk. He was a drunk. And then Smokin' Joe. Smokin' Joe because that's all he did was get high.
Oh, I thought smoke cigarettes.
No, Smokin' Joe.
Smokin' Joe.
Smokin' Joe. And then Toyota Joe is a real good friend of mine because when he first got in, he wrecked a Toyota coming off the ship. Oh. So he got that handle.
That's a good way to get your handle, yeah.
Yeah, Toyota Joe. And then Pumper, I just made that up.
Well, like we said earlier, there's a lot of pumpers, but nobody's name. I guess, no one has earned that name that's their actual.
No, I don't. No, not really.
And what was the other? Did you say one more?
Oh, you say Hooks?
Hooks, yeah. Hooks.
Hooks was an old-time longshoreman. He used to go to the hall. He was an old-timer. When I got down there, he was old. And he'd sit outside of the hall there with he had 2 little dogs. This guy was, my God, he was a hard worker. There was another guy, his name was Joe Loco. Joe Loco and Hooks were old longshoremen at that time, and they did everything. They knew how to work. One time at Terminal Island, Hooks was underneath the crane, and I was a swingman. And a lid was coming over. And I said, hey, Hooks. I gave him the sign for the lid coming over. So he just looks at me. I said, hey, Hooks, the crane's coming over.
A lid?
A lid.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't move. And then it went over his head.
What?
Yeah. And I went up to him. He was an old time. You didn't mess with this guy. He was a strong guy. I said, hey, Hooks, the lid went over your head. He goes, I go, what if it would have fell? And he told me he said, pretend it never happened. And he lit up a joint and was smoking a joint.
Oh, my God.
That's the kind of hysterical stuff that used to happen like that. But this guy was hysterical. Hooks.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you know, you do not even get close to a lid going by. You stay feet like yards away from a lid going over.
Because that lid is not going to come straight down. It's going to, swing. It'll cut loose from one end. It won't come straight down. You think it would, but it doesn't.
Have you seen a lid?
I've seen a lid fall.
You've seen it fall?
No. On video and stuff. I've
Okay.
seen it fall. I've seen on the crane, a flipper. Flipper came right straight on down. I've seen that.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I've heard nuts and bolts have come down.
Yeah. Well, I was on a job and it dripped some fluid all over one of the swingmen.
Well,
He
yeah.
was drenched. And he's like, I got oil or whatever. It was spilled on him.
Yeah.
Like, what?
A hose probably busted. I'm sure a hose went
And he
out.
was still under. I'd be like, can I go home, sir? Can I go home and clean myself?
Yeah,
Yeah, stuff.
yeah.
All this
But,
machinery.
yeah, but there's a lot of guys that have different names. Shit in the wing. That was a funny one.
Like he actually. What's the wing? I forget.
And down in the hole, a wing. It's in the sides.
Oh, okay, kind of where you come down on the.
Yeah, there's
Where the
they call-
stairs?
Yeah, you come down the stairs and there's ribs on the ship. They call them ribs.
Okay.
And it's in the wing. You sit in the wing right there. So that's how he got his name, Shit in the Wing Wyatt.
And imagine you're on the other end in China and you're like, imagine you see a Chinese shit right there. You're unloading and you see a shit, like, that came from China. Like, this is a U.S., this is America shit right here.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
There's a lot of guys that did some crazy stuff.
Well,
Crazy
good.
stuff.
We could get it. That's why I'm excited about the podcast, because there's so much to get into, a lot of different facets of the job.
When I first got in, the first thing that went down the hatch was an ice cooler. First thing that went down there.
Yep, I believe it.
You don't want to take anything else. Everybody just on the hook. They put their coolers and come on down.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. So we have Pancho coming, is going to be a guest coming up. So
Poncho's great. Poncho's really good.
I talked to him on the phone, and he was like, you know what I look like you've seen me, right? He's like, because so a lot of people, he likes to tell them ahead of time. He's like, because you hear me talk on the phone, and he's like, and when they see me in person, they're a little taken aback. So he's he just kind of warned. I said, oh yeah, I know what you look like.
Oh yeah. Poncho's one. He looks a guy that can be very, very intimidated, but he's such a nice guy. Nice guy. And he got in on the permissive rule, and that's what we're going to touch bases when he comes in and stuff, because that's a whole different game on how we got it. Before we used to get in on sponsorship. They sponsor longshoremen, but that became a nepotism stuff and everything, so they got rid of the sponsorship. And I think probably 1979, 77, 79, they got rid of the sponsorship right around that time. So and then 1982, when I got in, it was through application. But the sponsorship, some guys, I know a guy, his name was Moose. They call him Moose. His name was Marcelino. Well, this guy was going to sponsor him, so Moose gave him, I think, a couple $1,000. At that time, that was a lot of money. A couple $1,000. Turns out that the guy had sponsored 3 or 4 or 5 different guys to get their money, so he never got sponsored. Luckily, there was one guy that found out what happened to Moose, because he was a real light guy. He sponsored him.
Oh, that's cool.
So he finally got in and stuff
Wow.
like that. But the sponsorship, that's gone.
Yeah, so I got in with the interest card.
Interest card, yeah.
Yeah, and
so that was sort of a form of, because only the longshoremen's got the interest cards.
Right.
So that was the last form. You touched on the last form on how to get in through an interest card.
Yeah.
After that, they got rid of that.
After that was done.
Yeah.
Well, there's still interest cards, but you also go in with the postcards. The interest cards get picked with the postcards, but there is still an interest card, but it's not the same.
No, it's not like when you guys got in. The interest card was an interest card. You were going to get in.
Yeah.
You were going to get in.
So how did Pancho get in? What did you call it?
permissive rule. He got in. His father died.
So is that different than the C? I guess we can get into it, but that's
That's COD.
That's COD.
Yeah, child
Okay.
deceased.
It's just a different,
Excuse me. Yeah,
just a different way to say
yeah,
that.
yeah. He got in, but what happened? I don't know exactly what year and who was president of the international. It was at one point where you could be 80, 90 years old and sponsor somebody. Well, somebody made a rule that at age 62, your book is gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at 62, you cannot give your book to anyone.
I'm curious about that. That's,
Yeah, yeah. And then your spouse is the one that makes a determination who gets that book. And there's been a lot of problems. I mean, that's for another episode. And I'm sure that a lot of people will be interested in this because I've got a lot of stuff to talk about on that one.
Yeah. All right, cool. I think that's good. Yeah. So, Pancho will be on the next episode, and I think that's good. A wrap for this one. Maybe we should think of something to say at the end. I don't.
Thank you, Uncle Harry.
Thank you, Uncle Harry.
This has been On the Waterfront with Coach, hosted by Marina Barreras Hernandez and Edward Barreras, produced by myself, Buddy Barreras, and recorded in collaboration with our amazing sponsor, the Avalon Arts Cultural Alliance, located in the heart of the harbor, Wilmington, California.